What's up fam, my name is Tech and welcome to my Mass Effect 3 multiplayer guide for the N7 Demolisher. In this video, I intend to document my research on the class and hopefully spread awareness that people are still playing this game. I'll be starting by going over the racial passives, then the active abilities. Following that, I'll give you a build you can try to start off with the class. And as always, links to useful information will be in the description. So what's the Demolisher good for? Taking a phrase from the Mass Effect 3 wiki, this class is a go anywhere, fight anything type of class. It's well balanced and doesn't particularly struggle against any faction. It has the same durability tier as Quarians and Solarians. They have average health at 500 and a bit extra shields at 600. Their movement is all the standard stuff, and so is their melee, with one small exception. The heavy melee is an explosive punch, and it hits in a small AoE. It can stagger multiple enemies and will knock back one. Their fitness tree is identical to the regular human one, however the N7 Demolisher tree is slightly different. Starting at rank 1, you get 2.5 weapon damage and 10% power damage instead of 5 and 5. You also get 1 extra grenade instead of weight capacity bonuses. Generally speaking, you'll end up with higher overall boost than the regular engineer no matter what you prioritize. Most notably higher power damage and more grenades. Now onto the active abilities. Your first one is the most unique one on the class as it's the only one that can use it, Supply Pylon. On activation, you'll drop a pylon at your feet that shoots out ammo and grenades periodically. It also increases max shields of any teammates within the radius. It can be built to increase either weapon or power damage, and it can also be built to increase max shields even further to 50%. This is the only ability this class has that has a cooldown, and generally speaking you would not intend to move it very often, so you don't need to worry about weapon weight at all. There are a few fun facts with it, some more useful than others. It's indestructible. The only thing that can destroy it is dropping a new one. When you do drop another one, the first one explodes and deals damage to enemies near it. You can also kind of manipulate the shield boost properties by going in and out of the radius, making it heal you whenever you're low. A good example is when you're affected by a collector swarm. Your next ability is Arc Grenade. It's the first of your 2 grenade abilities, and it behaves very similarly to other grenades. It explodes on contact, dealing electrical damage that's effective at stripping shields and CCing enemies. This will be your go-to ability to use on pretty much all infantry, as it covers a wide area by default, and most of the time it will stun enemies long enough for you to take them down with your weapon. It detonates all but biotic combos, and if you take rank 5B's electrical damage perk, it will prime targets for tech bursts. It's all around a great ability. Your last ability is Homing Grenade. It's your go-to ability when you want things dead, as it tracks very well and it detonates power combos in addition to its high damage. It's one of few abilities in the game where all perk choices are pretty viable. Rank 4 is a choice between more damage and higher radius. Most often I prefer damage, but the default radius of the ability is pretty small, so you can make a case for radius. Rank 5 is a choice between an extra grenade and adding a fire dot on contact. Notably, that fire damage will not prime for fire combos like electrical damage or arc grenade. That's the main reason I choose not to take it. Rank 6 gives you either increased armor damage and increased weapon damage on affected targets, or a split grenade that hits 2 targets for 60% damage. You can get the 2 grenades to hit the same target, which would be more overall damage, but it's pretty hard to do without there being only one target. The biggest thing you'll have to manage when playing this class is your grenade reserves. Both of your grenade abilities pull from the same count, meaning you'll have to constantly top off between your supply pylon and the map ammo points. So how do you build the class? Because it only has one ability reliant on a cooldown and it's meant to be placed out of combat, you have many options as to what weapons you can pick. I prefer to build around either the Warfighter or the Shock Trooper gear bonuses, as they both give a boost to weapon damage and 2 grenades. The perk choices in the build will be pretty similar regardless of weapon choice. When using the Warfighter package, I like to run a mid to long range assault rifle as my main weapon. My favorites are the Saber and the Lancer. The Harrier is also always a good choice, but I don't have it yet unfortunately. My second weapon will usually be something good at close range. I like the Rieger. It's one of the highest damage weapons in the game, and its main weakness is that it chews through ammo too fast. That is fixed on this class as you'll always be near ammo pickups. When using the Shock Trooper upgrade, try the Wraith or the Crusader, then take the Hurricane as a secondary. For the powers, max out Supply Pylon, taking resupply frequency, power damage, and extra grenade. Max out Arc Grenade as well, taking radius, electrical damage, and shield overload. And max out Homing Grenade with damage, capacity, and armor damage. With this setup, your Arc Grenade will specialize in CCing as many enemies as possible while stripping their shields, and Homing Grenade will do as much damage as possible. Your Pylon will also give you as many grenades as you can possibly get to fuel both your abilities. This class can utilize heavy pistols and sniper rifles just as well as assaults and shotguns. The only downside is that there's no gear bonus that gives more grenades with either of these. Consider running the grenade capacity bonus if you choose to run those, as it will give you 5 grenades. Since this class deals with all protection types well, it doesn't really have a weakness that ammo bonuses can remedy. If you're using the Rieger or the Hurricane, you can take advantage of the dot incendiary or warp rounds provide to increase your already very high damage. You also can just as well use cryo rounds to freeze targets and detonate them with either grenade. Consider this if you're running an AoE weapon like the Aegis. Since this class has no glaring weaknesses, I don't believe it struggles against any faction. The only two enemies of note are Phantoms and Banshees, as they have a habit of dodging your grenades, but if they actually hit them, they deal a lot of damage to them. Also, you are almost completely unaffected by Collector Swarms. You don't have any relevant abilities with cooldowns, and you can somewhat mitigate the shield blocking with Supply Pylon. I would say the best class to pair with this one is another point holding specialist. With that being said, take a look at my guide on the Geth Engineer. If you like this video, please drop a like so the YouTube algorithm lets other people know this game is still being played, and if you want to continue learning this game with me, I'll be making more of these guides in the future. Later fam.